Hello, everybody. It is 12:56 p.m. It is Monday, November 3rd, and today I'm going to touch on a subject that's very sensitive to me. Tomorrow marks, let's see, how many years will it be? Be 14 years since my mother passed away. Shirley Burton passed away, and some of you know the story behind it. Some of you don't. And I'm here today to tell you about what happened. My mother suffered from diabetes and ulcers, and she she didn't take care of herself. She her her diabetic diet wasn't so diabetic free, I guess, or diabetic worthy, and it took a toll on her. And I remember I was over at my friend Mark's house, and we got the phone call from my father saying that mom passed out in the bedroom and that she was on her way to the hospital. So as you can imagine, I wasn't really too happy with the thought of that. And we got there. I got there, and the doctor said that her blood sugar was way out of control. They wasn't sure exactly what made her pass out. It could have been diabetes. They weren't sure, and they were going to keep her for observation. And she was in the hospital for 2 or 3 days. I went and saw her uh, the night before all this bad stuff happened, the night before she passed away, and she was in good spirits. She was doing good. She was happy. They were talking about moving her out of ICU, and everything looked good. You know, she was happy. She was in great spirits. She was just seemed happy to be alive. You know, she was very, very happy. Um, so the, I said I love you, and she said she loved me back, and I told her I would see her the next day. I'd come up and see her the next day. I go home, and I'm not even asleep for maybe 2 or 3 hours, and we get a call about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning saying that my mom had taken a turn for the worse. And I couldn't believe it because just the night before, a couple hours, earlier, I saw her and she was doing great. But what it we drove up there, and the doctor said that she began to vomit blood and pass blood in her stool, and it was like a hemorrhage. I mean, it was just nothing but blood and stuff. And she had passed out on them. They had to resuscitate her. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is hard for me to talk about sometimes. Um, they had to resuscitate her, and they told us that they would give us updates. So we went out to the waiting room, and I remember trying to go back to sleep, even though I know I couldn't. Laying in the waiting room chairs, trying to sleep, and about 2 hours later, the doctor comes out and says, we've had to resuscitate her 2 to 3 times already, and then if she was to go out again, they would have to basically, she'd probably, chances are she would be a vegetable. And I knew deep down my mom didn't want to live that way, and I think most of her family did too. And the doctor came out said if you want to see your mom, or told my dad if he wanted to see mom that we could go back for a little bit and see her. And I went back there, and she was on a ventilator. And if those of you who've never seen someone on a ventilator before that you dearly love, the feeling that you have in your body that just chills you to the bone and upsets you more than anything is to see someone you dearly love knowing that the only thing that's keeping them alive is this machine that they're connected to. And it wasn't my mom laying there in the bed. It wasn't. It was someone that looked like my mom, but it wasn't my mom. Because I will never remember my mom that way, ever. My mom was a bright, golden soul woman. She'd do anything for you. What was laying in that bed was no longer my mother. And I knew that, and I left. And before we left, the doctor came out and told my dad and me that if she was to go out one more time, that we would have to make a decision to either let her go or risk the chance of her being and becoming a vegetable. And my dad was a very strong man, but when it came to that decision, he didn't know how to react to it. And I basically came to the decision saying, if she goes, let's let her go. She doesn't want to be here. If she's, it's not that she doesn't want to be here, but she wouldn't want to be here in the shape that she could be if she had to be resuscitated again. And I drove off. I left my dad behind. I couldn't deal with being at the hospital at that time and seeing my mom like that. I drove over to a friend's house, a couple friends' house, and just to be around people I love and care about. And not that I didn't love my father, it just I couldn't be at that hospital anymore. And about 2 or 3 hours later, we get the call that Mom passed away. And from when she passed away, it almost killed me. Just my personality, part of me just died inside after she passed away. And it's been a long time me trying to build it back up, but after 14 years, it still hurts. It still hurts really bad. But that's the story of my mom. And now you guys know why when this day comes along, on November 4th, tomorrow comes along, I'm not in such great spirits. But I'm working on it, and every year does get easier. And there's the story of my mom. Anyways, sorry for this one being such a downer, folks. But it's something I wanted to get off my chest and that you guys probably wanted to know about my mom. So, there you go. Anyways, I hope you all have a happy Monday. Hope you all have a good night. And be good to one another, because you never know. You never know when you may not have them. Be good to each other. Love you guys.